Welcome to another episode of Clear Lake Connections, proudly sponsored by UTMB Health. Special guest today is Jason Hernandez. You are the Executive Director of the Perry Family YMCA.
Yes, sir.
Tell me how you got into that role.
That's a great question. So I've been part of the YMCA for over 10 years now. I moved from Orlando 2 years ago. So I've been part of the Y and operations and had the opportunity to EA Smith and the Perry YMCA is kind of the original reason why I came here. Love operations, love people. So the Perry Y in League City was just a good fit. Never good to move 3 months before a shutdown. So that changed the whole world and my family and everything. But loved every moment so far.
So you moved from one state that pretty much stayed open to another one. So at least you had that going for you.
Yeah, yes. We're thankful for that. It's been a great one. Our hardest thing is just finding community. That first 2020, even work-wise, you get put in a little box and you couldn't go out as much or do more community events. My wife works from home. So both of us was just finding the community, finding where we fit in, and planning routes was the tough part. But yes, being from Florida here, this is pretty much the same, which has been.
But you
nice.
had a big project for the Y here in the Houston area during the kind of shutdown, right?
Project as in like food bank or
no, the
virtual.
Yeah, the virtual.
Yes. Yep. So when we shut down, we kind of all dispersed into different roles. I have a graphic design video background that I just have created over the last 10 years. So my job was to figure out how do we engage all of our members online. So we launched with 60 classes for those 3 months that we were shut down. So every week we were video and filming. I had to drive an hour away to another Y, but it was my number one priority. From there, I got to create a website for the association called htxplus.org that still goes on now. That's just, if you're not feeling comfortable or if you're traveling or whatever, you have a place to go do some fitness. So learning to film, learn about lighting, learn about podcasting as we're doing it because we've done some ourselves. So I've learned a new skill probably beyond I ever thought with the Y. So I can run a production team, which has been fun.
Very nice. Tell people a little bit about the history of the YMCA because people love doing the dance, the village people. But
yes.
Talk about the YMCA. I think it's an interesting story.
Yep. The Y is originally was founded to address social issues. So when it was founded in 1800s, it was just for a Bible study. The issue was young men were on the streets getting into things that they shouldn't be. So we had someone that was brilliant enough to say, hey, let's start a Bible study. And they call it the YMCA, Young Men's Christian Association. People don't even know that's what that means, the YMCA. So the whole history of the Y is just addressing social issues. If you look at history from even when the Civil War was going on, the Y was there helping from a volunteer standpoint. Obesity was a big deal. We've started that in the 90s with Healthy Kids Day. Mm-hmm. So everywhere through history, when there was a social issue, that's what the Y jumped in to do. Today, right, the pandemic, we had a big thing around food banks or food insecurity. The Y jumped in. Social, getting people active when we're at home. So the Y has just been a big deal. We do fitness and we have the beautiful gyms. We do youth sports and swim lessons. But the addressing social issues was a big deal. Basketball was invented by the Y. Volleyball was invented by the Y. Swim lessons, another thing that was invented by the Y that a lot of people know. But it was all around just addressing a social issue at a time, and it turned into what we are today.
So you have this big umbrella of the YMCA National, obviously, but every one of them is so unique and centered in its community. Talk to me how that happens.
Yeah, if you've been to one Y, you've been to one Y is what everyone says. Our goal is to reflect where we are. League City is very different than our Teleps and downtown Y just because the community is there. And that's even goes how we hire, the programs we run. It is based on what your community wants and the need is. So we're not the box gym. We hate that. That's not us. Because we also make sure that no one's turned away is a big part. There are some communities, yes, can afford the YMCA, but there are parts of our community that can't. And that's where scholarships come into play and to make sure that no one's ever turned away. We want everyone to have access to our programs, to our Y, any moment. So that's why we do fundraising to make sure that's never happening.
And so you're the executive director. Tell me about your role in the fundraising. And basically, it sounds to me like you're the CEO of...
Yep. Of Perry.
Right.
Yep. My day-to-day is running the operations, make sure membership's going well, our programs, make sure leading my team there and make sure developing them to become future execs. From a fundraising standpoint, that's a big part of it. We have a board that is not fiduciary board, but there is a community board out of the Perry YMCA. And our job is just to advocate for the Y, find community partners, and then fundraise. We give out close to $150,000 a year. Right now, we probably raise right around $120,000. So we do have a small gap, but our goal is to continue to give out more. So my job is to kind of do podcasts or go to community events just to keep introducing people to the Y, telling the stories of our impact, in hopes that we create the relationship that hopefully we gap something in your heart that you're willing to give to the Y to make sure kids can go to summer camp and learn STEM. Swim lessons is a big thing. We do safety around water. That we've gone to apartment complexes and did the swim lessons there to take away the transportation barrier. So our goal is just to find different ways to keep doing the mission. So operations is a big part. That's probably the fun part for me, being the analytical side, but then the community side is what keeps me in the Y. Nonstop. I've been working with my board and fundraising with the community.
And what are your biggest needs right now as far as an organization?
It's a great question. Fundraising is always a big thing. The need is only growing, especially since this pandemic. We're trying to figure out, we have a local church that's out of our Y too for counseling. So they're creating a program, but depression hasn't been a big deal. Kids trying to be integrated back into school, which is interesting that it's just different than what it was. So we're just trying to find different ways to engage them through STEM projects. So a lot of fundraising. We're trying to fundraise for robotics in our school programs, so that every kid has access to that. Those are the biggest things. Membership is there. We are still a good ways away from what we were. So staffing is always an issue that we're just not where we were. So we're still climbing back from the COVID shutdown. The association, we're probably 50% off still what we were. But a lot of that, it doesn't stop us. So our biggest thing is just how do we keep finding ways to have people help us fund to make sure our community doesn't suffer.
Yeah, tell me about some more of those wins that you've had. You mentioned some of the programs. Maybe you could, I know you guys change lives. Tell us about some of the big wins you've had.
Yeah, summer camp's a big one. We want to make sure no one's turned away. So we had a family that during COVID lost their jobs. Then we had this crazy freeze that once again probably burst pipes in people's houses. Their houses was one of those. Burst all the pipes, so they couldn't live in their home. Now they're living in a hotel week to week, from month to month, and couldn't afford to put their 3 kids into camp. And we're thankful that Perry Homes, who is named after the Perry Family YMCA, gives us a massive $50,000 grant to make sure kids aren't turned away. And we were able to take care of this family for the whole summer. So all 3 kids, no cost to the family, was able. And that's a big deal. That's in such a weird year to begin with the freeze in your house and COVID, that they didn't have to worry about summer camp. That they didn't have to worry about their kids just being at home. That we were able to continue engagement and growing, and then just being around kids is a big deal. Coming off the school year, you're isolating kids. We want kids to be together for that social aspect of it. So that is a huge one for us. And it's a big thanks to the Perry Family YMCA, how much they believe in our Y and our community.
And you guys do after school programs too through the schools. I know my kids, when they went to elementary school, they could actually stay after and participate in that. Yep,
that's a big part. We're into 6, 7, I believe, schools in the CCISD. And same thing. It's however we can take away the barrier from parents and help. As we're trying to figure out the robotic standpoint of it to help the efforts of the school district and exposing kids to the STEM world. If the Y can help with that, that's kind of our future going forward, is partner with the CCISD and figure out robotics.
Yeah, I actually have a great Y story. And I actually stayed at the YMCA when I was younger in New Orleans. And they have bedding and everything. And it's so when people do the YMCA song, I'm like, no, I do it for real because I actually stayed there.
If you have that story, that's an old school Y story right there.
But are there still some like that in the Houston area?
No? I believe we got rid of them all. I think Casa Boom or one of Harvey came through.
Okay.
May have ended one of our last Ys.
Okay.
That was doing the overnight stuff.
So but they used to be more prevalent, didn't they?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So it's kind of like this idea of, you talked about the social needs, I guess affordable places for people to stay when they were visiting a city that address that need. But now it's more really micro community.
Yes. Yep. And it's trying to think globally, act locally is like the phrase we like to use. Yes, there's a bigger in Houston, but what is League City? What's Clear Lake doing? With the closure of EA Smith, which is kind of the Clear Lake Y, that's what the Perry Family YMCA is. We're trying to, how do we not forget this side of the town, Clear Lake, and we're all part of one bigger. So there's a big renovation coming to Perry to expand our offerings or expand our impact to make sure we're hitting everyone that's in our community now. Our reach has changed because we lost a Y in this area because of the pandemic.
So the EA Smith closed.
Yes, yeah. Part of when we shut down, there was 5 Ys that didn't technically come back open. 2 Ys are officially being sold. EA Smith is one of the 2 that is going to be sold off.
Okay.
A lot of that is because Perry is so close. There are some financial reasons that EA couldn't come back, and the growth was not there for the future. So it just made sense, sadly, to close that one. It hurts when every time you close a Y, it really does hurt the community. We're lucky that Perry is so close that people can still come there. And we are getting people from the EA Smith Y there. So we're hoping this renovation coming will excite people again about the Y. And then just continue to get the word out that a Y may have closed, but we're still here for them.
So you talked about really being an integral part of the community. I think most people, when they think of the Y, it's Young Men's, like you said, Christian Association, but you serve everybody. Talk about the different programs that you have for every age group.
Yep. We like to say cradle to the grave. So the moment you're born, so if you're 6 weeks old, your parents come in. We have Child Watch there, which is when you're working out as a family, you're able to put your child in a safe place to learn, read, where we have different activities for them while you're working out, taking care of yourself. We're making sure you're taking care of. So that's kind of the child area from the 6-week-old. But we do have sports programs that you can start at 3 years old that go all the way up to high school. Swim lessons, same thing. My child is 2. We started swim lessons this year. So the moment they can be comfortable in the water, you always want to get them there. So swim lessons is a big deal. From an adult standpoint, we Forever Wells, which is we call our kind of active older adults, where we have our classes, but we also are getting back to, they have monthly birthday parties, monthly card making. They do games, card games, just to create community around them. Social isolation is a big deal. So we're trying to just find different ways to connect them. And then we have our Wellness Forward, which is our free weight area, treadmills, Group X, where you can do Zumba, yoga, body pump. A lot of new programs that are coming especially for our kids. We're going to be building a Ninja Warrior rig in there, and that's
very cool.
Yeah, it's a new way to just get kids active.
Yeah,
not everyone wants to be on a treadmill. Not everyone wants to play basketball. So we're creating a Ninja Warrior rig program. Tumbling. We're trying to get into the martial arts. We have karate for kids to adults. Can we get into jiu-jitsu, which is hopefully coming in 2022 as well.
I know you guys always had a warm cup of coffee waiting.
Yes, coffee's there. We actually have a coffee company that's actually out of Perry now. We have like a little restaurant area called Full Cup Coffee, which is really good coffee. If you haven't been there, you should come swing by. Better than Starbucks. I will say that, being a Starbucks person. I don't go to Starbucks anymore because I have this coffee company in the Perry.
And you guys used to do cooking classes and stuff like that back in the day.
Yep, and so like summer camp, that's a great one. We do cooking classes for kids. So for a whole week, we're just teaching them just different skills. We have Harry Potter camp. We did this last year. We do sports camps just to keep teaching kids. So kids is a big focus for us, but our adult programming, we're trying to, part of the renovation is actually get a turf soccer field. That we hope will set us apart from what everything's around us. And the program can be year round because you're never messing up a field. But then we can get into, we talked about Nerf wars, which is a new kind of trend, having kids do Nerf games and leagues. So we're trying to get creative just to keep engaging our community. We're trying to find way more parent-child stuff. From individuals, we're going to start adult leagues for basketball, adult leagues for soccer as well. So we're just, like I said, whatever the community is looking for, we're going to try to build it for them.
So, the Y is a membership organization, right? So what does your basic membership get you? And then, what are some of the additional costs on top of that for extra programs?
Yep. So once you become a member, you get access to our Child Watch, Group X, and then our Wellness Floor, which is all your free weights and group treadmills. Anything extra, so youth sports, aquatics, which is swim lessons, or personal training, that's where you're paying extra for that. As a member, you get a discounted rate for that. But that's kind of our membership model. So once you're in, though, you get Child Watch and the Group X all part.
And the water park is included, and all the
Yes.
pools.
Yep, all the pools is all part of that.
I know when it first opened, that water park was a big hit.
It still is. That's like our summers are pretty crazy just because of that pool and the draw for it, which is amazing to see. This was last year, 2020 was so sad not to see it full. So this year was exciting to get that back to normal and people here nonstop from whatever 1 to 7 at that pool area.
Because me and the kids love the water slide. I'm a sucker for a water slide.
Yes, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and it's ever changing. You guys are always evolving, and you don't get to be around, since the 1800s if you're not evolving. So.
That is the truth. And if we don't evolve, that's how companies or whys die. So we're looking for what our community wants, though. So yeah, we're excited. Like with the Ninja Warrior rig in a while, I don't think any of us saw that even 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it is pretty cool what's coming. We're looking at even like an e-game studio. That's even being thrown on the table to have 10 computers, to have e-leagues in a Y. I'm excited for being someone that plays video games. It is a group of children or kids or even adults that we haven't ever touched. But these computers also can be used to teach people Excel, Microsoft Word, just internet use in general. We have a lot of our Forever Well explorers. Those are always asking us. So we're looking at e-gaming studios just for a multiple ways to do programming. But everyone now, e-gaming, you can literally make a career off of it now.
Yeah, and you guys are always trying to create a safe place for, kids, but also adults to go and be, like you said, be part of the community.
Yep, the environment is second to none. Like, I think that's what separates us from more than anything, our community aspect of it. But when you come in, it just feels safe. From your child to all the way up to our active older adults. Yeah. That's why I love working there every day.
Yeah, I used to go and you're always welcomed by somebody. And like I said, the coffee, and there's that definitely a sense of community.
Yep, 100%. That's what we are. I'm glad you felt it and feel it because that's who we are. And I think that's once again separates us from anybody else.
Yeah.
All the other gyms are great. But yeah, there's that extra bonus of that community, the giving back. Mm-hmm. Even our membership model's changing a little bit, that when you sign up, part of that is going to go towards helping kids swim or helping food insecurity. So there's a lot more that we're changing because of COVID that will hopefully make everyone feel better coming to that why.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to tell the audience about the why, or specifically Perry?
Yeah, I'll say for Perry, we're excited. Like we said, we have a renovation coming up. We have close to $2 million renovation. And our goal is just to expand our impact in it from our Child Watch area. Our wellness floor is going to get redone. We're looking at turf soccer fields. Our pavilion just got redone with new turf and a basketball court. But we're just trying to find different impact. What does our community really need? And let everyone know we're here for them. Mm-hmm. It's amazing that some people still don't know we exist. Perry's going on to their 15th anniversary this year, going into 2022. And then EA's been here since the 80s, maybe even earlier than that.
Yeah.
So we've been in the community. We're here for everyone. It doesn't matter what it is, but we're just excited. I'm 2 years in at the Perry YMCA. Plan to be here for a while. I live in League City, so we're just here for the community. That's literally it. But we're excited for what's coming for Perry with the big renovation, just to showcase a bigger impact coming.
Well, Jason, it's been a pleasure. You're doing great work. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce members and Bay Area Houston. If you're a business wanting to expand your customer base, give back to your community, think about the quality of life around Clear Lake area, think about joining the chamber. Go to clearlakearea.com for more information.